week 1 down. We're to week 2. We've got a couple questions from some viewers, and maybe we'll be able to get something going in the chat and have a little fun. Let's do this. All right. Kyle, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. I'm really excited for week 2. Week 1 was a little weird as far as how players performed, how a couple of the games in general didn't go the way. The Bills and the Packers both got embarrassed. I didn't see that coming. Dallas played Tampa Bay close. I didn't see that coming. You know, we lost Gallup and most of our defensive line, which was our defense is bad enough as it is. But, you know, other than that, I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I would call a rough week.
Yeah, it was a little rough.
Yeah, this week was really strange. I thought, I know that this week was really strange. Gosh, such studs just flopping for everybody. Yeah. What a disappointment.
And it's funny, too, because, like, we had one of the leagues that me and you do together, the Truth Serum League. We played against a guy that just happened to have all of the very mediocre guys that just went off. So he had, like, all those guys. So we lost by, like, 100 points or something ridiculous. It was
so bad, dude.
It was just a perfect storm. So nothing else went quite that bad, but yeah, it was a weird week. There's a lot of people, a lot of players that people are panicking about and shouldn't. Yep. People that maybe they should be a little concerned. Whatever. We'll see what these questions we have are. Maybe we'll get some people in the chat. Either way, we can still talk about a handful of those guys if we want.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple questions. I'm curious to see what you think about them too. And so I'm sure we can knock some ideas back and forth, and that'll probably answer some people's questions just by us talking about our own issues, because Lord knows we have plenty of them.
There were plenty.
We got to experience a lot this week because I'm in 10 leagues, you're in 11. So there's a lot of opportunity for for things to go wrong there. Oh my gosh, my second camera over here on Instagram just like flopped my poor phone.
That's funny.
Oh, that was wild. It came jumping at me.
Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe I got in over my head with 11 leagues.
No doubt. I was up till 2 a.m. This morning trying to set my waivers because, I mean, it's just so much to do. It was wild.
Well, it's really hard to like set all your lineups. We accidentally started Odell Beckham in a league.
Yeah. That's not like us at all.
No, that never happens. Setting waivers and those claims. After waivers runs, I always like to go in, look at my kickers and my defenses and see if I need to rotate for the week or whatever. See if there's anything left after waivers I want to pick up for free.
Yep.
But then like 11 leagues, it's so hard to sit down and take the time to see, okay, are there any trades that I might want to pursue? With a game in a day, you basically have Wednesday and most of Thursday, and then you start games. So it gets really tough to go through and kind of look at all of those. This week, I took the stance, and I might go through in the morning, but I didn't get crazy with it today as far as going through and trying to buy low on a bunch of guys. I think it's 1 week. I don't think anybody is panicking enough pretty much anywhere, unless you play in a league full of complete noobs, that they're panicking on some of these guys that underperformed and stuff. Most people are going to want to see a couple of weeks. So I decided to take the wait and see approach myself.
Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff on Instagram talking about like buy low on these guys, buy low on these guys. And my comments back to them are no one's selling.
Yeah.
Like you can't buy low if no one's selling. Like people paid first and second round, draft picks for these guys. So they're not selling these guys just because they had one bad week, especially when you had, 30 of the top players have bad weeks.
Yeah.
No one's selling. I mean, it was just an odd week.
Nobody's selling, one, because of what you said.
What's up,
Everybody,
Turbo? What's up, Rio?
you know, pretty much
We got Luca
invested a
here.
lot in them, but also everybody's also seeing the same things. It says, don't panic, don't sell.
Yep.
I forgot to turn my light on here. Oh, see, I'm more beautiful now.
Nice.
So yeah, everybody's putting that out there, so everybody else is seeing it. That's one downside to kind of new age fantasy football is it's hard to know anything that other people can't see everywhere. So, you just have to decide what you believe in and what you don't and make decisions based on that. Trust your gut.
Yeah, you gotta trust your gut on this stuff. Over here on Instagram, we got Rio from the Vegas League over in there.
What's up, Rio?
We've got a follower over here. We got Luca. Me and him worked on doing a trade earlier.
I've seen y'all's messages back and forth.
Yeah. So, interesting deal. That was an interesting deal. I have him sending us that again because I can't get on there right now, being on this. But
so you did get a deal done. I saw early messages early in the week. I didn't see anything final. So
yeah, that deal got done. I'm like 99% sure he got that deal done. So,
cool.
Anyways, let's jump into a couple of these questions that people have sent over to us, and let's just see what we got. So here's a good one. This was the first one that came in actually today, and I believe the Monster O2. I don't know his name exactly. Sorry, but he sent in, will Zeke have a jump up season? And I'm guessing that means just improving upon last season.
Bounce back.
Yeah, kind of a bounce back. I think we've talked about this maybe already on here, but what do you think about Zeke and having a bounce back season?
Yeah, I think he will. I mean, he's in the best shape he's been in a long time. He's got Dak back. The offensive line is healthy again. He had a down week 1 because of the matchup and the game plan, and that defensive line, they really needed him to block. But I definitely think he'll get a lot more carries going forward, including this week against the Chargers. I think he'll have a pretty good week also. So I definitely think he'll have a bounce back year and be a lot better than he was last year.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be much better than last year. I mean, once Zeke went down, you just saw, or once you saw Dak go down, Zeke just kind of deflated, and then he fumbled a couple times, and then he was in his head, and it just seemed like he wasn't, he just wasn't into it mentally. And the only time you saw him kind of come back was at the very end, maybe the last game and a half, 2 games, where everyone was in talks of, does Dallas even need Zeke? Because look how good Pollard's doing. He might be the man there now. And you saw Zeke just kind of be like, no, and kind of come back to his old self. So I expect him to do that this year. Of course, he had a bad week 1, but so did so many other players. So that doesn't concern me. I think that Zeke is still going to have a great season and is a running back to have.
Yeah, and I will say this also about last week. He had a down week because he didn't have a lot of touches, but the touches he did have, he looked good running the ball.
Yeah, he did. It was just, I think it was a game plan type thing. I think it was just how their game plan was. They had to pass to keep up, and that just is what it is. So we have a live question here. Let's go over to Rio really quick over on Instagram. He says, curious to hear your thoughts on Trey Sermon being a healthy scratch and Mostert's injury. What and where is his value? So I'll kind of start off with this one, I think. And this one's been tricky just because of more information that's even come out today. I've seen these blurbs about them picking up Cannon from the Ravens when they release stuff. And to me, I see that as being more of a depth thing. I think they're trying to motivate Sermon a little bit. I think Sermon, he's had so much hype behind him, and that's not just fan hype. I mean, there's been a lot of hype behind him. So I feel like he's definitely going to get his shot. And honestly, I can see it being kind of a split backfield. I mean, that just is the nature of the beast there with Shanahan and 49ers. They've always kind of had that. Even in past years, I mean, you didn't know which of the 3 running backs to start. But also at the same time, all three could have a great game the same week. It just depends on how they're running the ball, that offense. So I think if Sermon gets in the mix, then Sermon is easily a flex play. I think that Mitchell is easily a flex play, maybe more, week in, week out. I mean, I think Sermon has value. I think he'll get his shot. I think we're just waiting for him to get his shot. But I think there's value there. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he'll definitely be active this week. I'm like you. I think Trenton Cannon was just a depth play. I saw a couple things that were like, oh, well, he could come in and maybe push Sermon. I think that's stupid. The Ravens wouldn't have cut a guy if he had the talent to usurp a Trey Sermon type, But I think you're also right when you said trying to motivate Sermon. I think it's the same thing they're doing with Sherfield and Ayuk at receiver. I think they're really trying to motivate these young guys that they're really counting on for their future.
Yeah.
And so I do think Sermon will get his shot. Is that this week? I don't know. The coaches came out and said last week that they kept Sermon inactive and kept Elijah Mitchell because of his special teams contributions.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not. Kind of makes sense. I could see, Sermon coming in and playing a role this week. I don't think he'll get like the lead role because Elijah played so well last week.
Yeah.
I think you'll see maybe a pretty even split this week if I'm guessing.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too. Here's my thing with Sermon, and when we're looking at Sermon's value now compared to what we had before, right? We all knew that Sermon, even if he was not a healthy scratch, right? He's active. He's still not the starter. Mostert is the starter, right? We knew he was going to have to wait for his turn.
Right.
What's changed now? If anything, his value's gone up. It hasn't gone down. He's still technically the number 2, but overcoming Mitchell is going to be much easier than overcoming Mostert. So if anything, he's gone up. Yeah. He couldn't have gone down. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I totally agree. I think he'll end up being the lead dog in that thing, but I think they'll try to ride out Mitchell and see what they got there before they just completely hand over the reins.
Yeah, he did good enough.
That's why I think you'll see maybe a more even split this week. And then, like, if they both continue to play well, they'll probably keep it more even. But if Mitchell starts to slip, I can see Sermon taking over many more carries. Like Daniel said over here in the chat, it's the Niners. Everyone gets a turn in the backfield.
It's so true. Everyone gets a turn there.
It's true.
All right. So we got another one over here. Let me go back to it real quick. Turbo Frankie asks, thoughts on Fuller? Is he a must start this week? What do you think?
Will Fuller. I forgot. I guess he only had a 1 game.
Yeah, 1 game
suspension. I was thinking it was multiple. Who do they play this week?
I actually don't know who they play this week.
That's a fail on my part. I haven't studied these matchups for the week yet.
What a loser.
I know, right? Buffalo at Buffalo. Or no, at home. Buffalo at home. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't think he's a must start. Unless you just really went running back heavy and you're really thin at receiver. I would prefer him as maybe a flex. Or maybe if you can afford to give it a week to see his part in that offense. Because, I mean, Waddle and Parker did pretty well last week. So, yeah, I wouldn't call him a must start. I guess it depends on who his receivers are. Mm-hmm. I'd feel much more comfortable with him as a flex than like a wide receiver too.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you can afford to sit him a week, like if your other options are good enough to sit him a week, he's not a must start. No. And at best, he's a flex. We just don't know what we're getting there yet. I mean, they did decent without him. I mean, I think Waddle had a good game. Parker had a good game. I mean, so they did fine without him, and we just don't know what that's going to look like yet. So I don't think he's a must start at all. I would not label him a must start, but I would label him probably a good flex if you don't have another option.
I was gonna say he's a flex if I'm reaching, like if I have injuries or I went really running back heavy, then But if you went running back heavy, you probably got a running back that's a better flex start than he is. So honestly, like I probably wouldn't start him unless I was just absolutely desperate.
Let's do this, Turbo. If you can, if he's your flex option, give us what your flex options are. Like list us your flex option players, and we'll see if he's a better flex option than what else you got in your flex options. So let's play that game and just see what that looks like. So I'll give you a little time to maybe type that out really quick if you're still here.
I forgot to pull up my Insta so that I can see these questions. I usually do that. So that's a fail also on my part.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So Turbo says Robbie, I'm guessing that's Robbie Anderson. Come on, is AB Antonio Brown and Fuller? There's no way you're not starting Antonio Brown there, right? If those are your flex options.
Yeah, you got to go unless those are like your only three receivers. That means you're running.
Yeah, if those are your only three receivers, then that's different. But if those are your flex options,
if those are your only three receivers, then yeah, you're sitting Robbie Anderson there.
Yeah, you're sitting Robbie for sure in those three. I think Fuller over Robbie, but AB 100%. Yeah, so in order, AB, Fuller, Robbie Anderson. Which after last year, Robbie Anderson had a good season, so it kind of hurts my heart a little bit to put him at number 3 on that list, but that's just where he's at right now, and who knows, maybe he'll come back on that, but hard to say. Okay, let's jump over here. We got this one in the chat on here, and I will just show it on stream. Let's see. I actually haven't read it yet. Who should I start? Gaskin or Melvin Gordon? And at wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, AB Cooks, or Marquise Brown? 2 wide receiver and a flex. Okay. So who should I start? Gaskin or Melvin Gordon? And I'm also very horrible and unprepared. I don't have
matchups. I can tell you Gaskin plays Buffalo at home.
That's right.
And then Denver plays at Jacksonville, where
Melvin Gordon then.
Houston just went nuts on them this last week. So, yeah, Melvin Gordon's a no-brainer.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon there, no-brainer. So 2 wide receiver and a flex. So
Deebo is at Philly. Antonio Brown is against Atlanta at home, so get him in there. And then Cooks.
So now we have to pick a flex between Gaskin, Cooks, and Brown, right?
Yes. Wait, is that right? Deebo? Yeah. You have to start Deebo until further notice.
So you're starting Deebo and Antonio Brown there. So we've picked a running back. We've picked 2 wide receivers. Now we got to pick a flex.
He needs another receiver. He needs 2 wide receivers and a flex. So
right, Deebo Samuel and Antonio Brown. AB.
It was Gordon, Samuel, and then AB. It was between AB and Cooks. Cooks plays at Cleveland. Antonio Brown versus Atlanta. That matchup, you got to go AB against Atlanta for sure. So yeah, Melvin, Deebo, Antonio Brown for sure.
Got it. I see what you're saying. Yep, I read that wrong. I was thinking, yeah. Okay, so yeah, Gordon, Samuel, AB, no doubt are the top ones in that list. He also has RB2 is Melvin. See, so I did understand this correctly. Okay, so the flex, now we can choose between Gaskin, Cooks, or Marquise Brown, I believe, is what he's saying.
I think I'd go Cooks.
Over Gaskin?
Is it a PPR? Half PPR, full PPR? I'm seeing if he'll say.
Yeah.
While he answers that question, he asked another question: Fuller or Tim Patrick? I'm going to say Tim Patrick because he's going to be playing the Jerry Jeudy role, And once again, they're playing against Jacksonville, who can't stop anything. So definitely Patrick over Fuller on that one.
Yeah,
he says
I agree.
He says half PPR. Okay, so Gaskins against Buffalo. I really don't think they're going to be able to run very well against them. And I think Buffalo's going to come out kind of like we're expecting Green Bay to come out and be a little pissed off that they lost and probably air the ball out quite a bit. So I think Miami's going to have to keep up on the scoreboard. So I'm thinking I'd probably rather have Cooks at Cleveland in there as my flex.
Man, I don't know. Those numbers, Marquise Brown put up good numbers last week, right?
Did Brown put up good numbers?
Oh, no. I mean, he was 6 for 6 for 69 yards. No, I guess that's not wonderful numbers. Then my bad. I just remembered seeing his name pop up a lot, but I mean, 6 catches isn't bad. I was.
But I mean, you got to remember last week.
You got to remember there.
Last week too, Houston got a huge lead on Jacksonville. They started running the ball.
Yeah.
All right, Lindsey, Ingram, Johnson, they all had touchdowns and yardage.
Yep.
I don't see that being the case at Cleveland. I think they'll have to throw a little bit more. So I think Cooks will have a pretty good workload this week. So I say, throw Gordon in your RB2 spot and then run with Samuel, Brown, and Cooks, the 3 receivers as your receivers and flex there.
Of all 6 of those players, ranked wise, would be Gordon, Samuel, AB, Cooks, Brown, then Gaskin. In that order.
I'd put Gaskin over Brown.
You think?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because Gaskin and Brown are the 2 we're saying not to start.
Yeah, so don't even worry about them.
Doesn't really matter, but I would put Gaskin over Brown.
Doesn't matter, so. Okay.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Thanks for hopping on here. Love answering questions like that. So hit us up with whatever else you guys got. Okay, let me check over here on Instagram. Okay, so another one we had was, we just kind of talked about this. Another one we had was Brandon Cooks a start this week. And I think we just answered that as yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have better options, but Brandon Cooks on Fantasy Pros is the number 31 wide receiver. And I would maybe even move him up just a touch over a couple guys like Mike Williams. Well, he played Dallas, maybe not. That may be about right. Either way, Cooks is a good start this week.
I'd feel pretty good with Cooks as my RB2. I'd really feel good with him in my flex.
Yeah. Wide receiver 2?
Yeah, I said RB2, didn't I? If he's my wide receiver 2, I'm not mad. I'd feel better about it if he was my flex, though. But, yeah, I mean, he's their go-to guy in that offense. So,
yep, yeah.
And I think Baker and the Browns will do better than Jacksonville did, putting points on the board. So he should stay pretty well involved.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's go on to our next question. And I think I know exactly how you're going to answer this, but is Gronk back in the top 3 for the rest of the season?
Top 3? No. Top 5? Definitely. And I say that he absolutely has the potential to be top 3.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'll get there without an injury to one of the current top 3, Kelsey, Kittle, Waller. And I really think he'll probably be fighting it out with Hawkinson for number 4 all year. That's your top 5.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an easy top 5.
All healthy, all year. That's your top 5 in some order. They all have a potential to be top 3, absolutely. And I don't think you'll see the drop-off between each one like we have in the past either. Kelsey had kind of almost a godlike, career year last year. I don't think he'll quite reach those heights this year, but he'll still be very good and probably the best tight end of football. But I don't think you'll see the gap between each of those top 5. So, they could be very, very tight in there. So, I mean, he absolutely could be top 3, yeah.
Yeah, and I know we're talking about Gronk here, but my God, watching Waller play the other night, I mean, he's good, man. These
tight ends are freaks now, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe he's a tight end because he's just kind of slender, really tall. Like, he doesn't look like a tight end at all. He's an athletic freak and just gets targets. I mean, he just eats it up. So, yeah, Gronk top 3, like you said, possibility. I think it could. I could see him finishing better than Hawkinson and challenging maybe Kittle. But I think at this moment in time, it's looking like Kelsey and Waller are 1-2. And then that number 3 spot, I'm still giving it to Kittle right now. But I think Gronk has potential to pop up in there. I mean, it's one game. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that up.
Yeah.
But if he does it this next week, if he keeps that up, then I'm just going to cry myself to sleep that I passed on him in so many leagues. Right now I'm sad about it, but I'm not crying myself to sleep because it was one game. I mean, how many trash players had multiple scores or even outscored some of these? Like, if those things happen, so and they're not even worth, even after they score like that, they're still not worth picking up off of the waiver wire because everyone knows, like, fluky game.
You think Juwan Johnson, did anybody have him getting 2 touchdown grabs going into the week 1?
No. But did I grab him in a couple leagues? Yes.
Why not?
I mean, if he's their starting tight end, he was, I didn't know anything about this guy.
I never heard of him. I had to, when we were doing our all day live Sunday, I actually had to look up because it said Jay Johnson for a touchdown. I was like, who is that? And I went and looked it up, and it said he was a tight end that I guess they converted to receiver or vice versa. But
yeah, I think it's vice versa because that dude looked very athletic as well. I think he's going to be pretty good, and he seems to have pretty good chemistry. But he was only on the field, like, he didn't even play but 12 snaps or something like that.
But he's a red zone guy for sure.
He was red zone. They were red zone snaps and red zone target, and there's value in that. If that's all they're playing him, maybe he's not my guess is he's not a great blocker, being a convert like that, a convert. So he's probably not a great blocker. So they just bring him in the red zone to go catch passes, would be my guess.
Probably. Which, like you said, there's absolutely value in that. That's kind of what they did with Gerald Everett in Seattle too. We've seen that over the years with certain guys. So yeah, that could be valuable. Looks like we got another question over here in the chat. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. Monotomo, I don't know. Anyways, we'll call him Mono.
Monotomo.
We'll call him Mono. He says, also in another league, I have Mike Evans, McLaurin, Brown, Cooks, and Debo.
Ooh,
I can only start 4 of them.
What a good problem to have.
I'm sitting Cooks out of that group, I think. Well, I don't know who Mike Evans plays. Oh, he plays Atlanta. So, honestly, shoot, I don't know if I want to start $2, but against Atlanta, dang, that's a tough call, man.
Yeah, I agree that's tough. McLaurin, AB, and Debo, hands down. Now it's between Cooks and Evans.
Yeah, it's between Cooks and Evans for me, and I'm honestly leaning Cooks.
Just for sheer volume. It's another half PPR, he says. And, I mean...
Yeah, just for volume, like, I'm leaning Cooks over Evans.
Yeah,
I know you invested a lot in Evans, but based on how it seems these offenses are flowing, like, Brown was a lot more involved than Evans. I don't know if that was just a fluke, if that was intentional. I thought I saw Evans, I thought it looked like his shoulder might have been a little sore after one play.
Well, I can tell you this. Evans had 6 targets and Cooks had 7 targets. So only one difference there. And where is Antonio Brown? Antonio Brown had 7 targets as well. So Mike Evans only had 1 less target and 2 less receptions than like Antonio Brown. But that's a huge difference, right? Because Mike Evans didn't actually do much with his catches.
He didn't do anything
special.
Oh, we got JV show in on Insta. I like that. Our boy Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny. With the Sunday live shows, he'll be on again this weekend, I believe. So, very, very good at what he does. So he'll be on the live broadcast all day Sunday broadcast. But I think he's only on. No,
he'll be on
hold
the
on.
early slate. I think.
I was getting there. I was
You
saying
said
that
all
it's
day?
an all-day broadcast. He'll be on for the first slate, I believe, with me. So, let's see. He said, got Evans in round 4 and Cooks in 11. Yeah, I mean, same.
That doesn't. Yeah. For me, like McLaurin, Brown, and Debo are no-brainers.
Right.
So it's definitely between Evans and Cooks. My gut tells me to go with Cooks this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't let where you got him in the draft. That's like saying, oh, I picked up Gronk in the 10th round, so I can't play him over Noah Fant, who I picked up in, the 6th round. Like, you're not doing that either. You're sitting Fant and you're playing Gronk there. So it doesn't matter where you draft him. Sometimes you just get a steal in the draft. Sometimes you get lucky with one of those picks late. I mean, there's some people that got Sermon late or got Elijah Mitchell late, and it paid off for him. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, crap happens.
There's a lot of people a lot smarter than me that were saying Cooks was going to be a lot better than his ADP anyways. So
Ayuk went way ahead of Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
And look how wrong everybody.
And just for the record, for everybody watching that's curious, I absolutely am not starting Ayuk in any leagues this week.
Yeah.
I want to see him get on the field and play before I get him in my lineups.
Yep, he's in my doghouse.
On the poopy list.
Yep. I'm right there with Shanahan on that.
Yep.
So, yeah, Ayuk is a no-go for me right now, which is really sad because I was really high on Ayuk. And
I was too. We both were.
I mean, he paid off for me last year on my road to the championship, and then he flopped in the championship game on my opponent's team, and so he was my hero like all playoffs last year, doing good for me and then flopping, and then here we are
last week.
He got me pretty good.
He killed us last week.
So that's all the questions I have at the moment that have come in. So I'm going to ask you, I think we should talk about this Swift Jamal Williams situation, because I know we're facing this situation right now in one of our leagues that we co-manage a team. And so that's our Las Vegas league with Fantasy Flojo, who just popped in here. What's up, Flojo? He's in that league. Our team is way better than his. It is what it is. Anyway, so we're in this conundrum with our running back now with Swift and Jamal Williams. We have them both. We had Swift in our starting lineup, and then they came out with the news 15 minutes before that Jamal Williams was going to lead the pack. And so that told us
crap.
And it was just okay, well, at least we have Jamal Williams. So we switched him. And then they ended up getting about the same amount of fantasy points. That's not the point. The point is Swift was used. Actually, I think he was on the field for more snaps, like a significant amount of more snaps. I think I saw that earlier. Let me get on here because Fantasy Couch put up a thing earlier, and he put up a graphic of snap counts or something. And
who did that?
Fantasy Couch.
Okay. I was reading the chat for a second there. Joe had the same issue, he said.
Yeah, so running back snaps by team, right? And it has... I swear he put this up here earlier. Come on, where's the one I'm looking at? Yeah, so DeAndre Swift took 63 snaps and Jamal Williams took 32. So we almost took double the snaps that Jamal Williams did. And they sent out this stupid alert that Jamal Williams was starting and going to lead the way. And then DeAndre Swift was still kind of the man, right?
Right. Did Jamal Williams get the first snap? Because technically that's starting, and he did a lot more of the handoffs, whereas Swift was the receiver out of the backfield. And I think, even though they had different amounts of snaps, they had about the same amount of plays, I think. touches, I think, were pretty similar. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you're not – I think they were trying to work Swift in slowly because of that groin injury he was dealing with before the season started. And then when he got in there and he was doing fine, they went ahead and just let him keep going. I don't think you'll see quite that split going forward. If you have both, start Swift every time until one of them's out or hurt or whatever.
And it looks like Flojo thinks same thing. Swift is the start for sure. I agree with that. I'm mad that we double guessed that last week. We switched in Mike Davis over Swift, and it was just a screw up. I mean, we let that news go to our head, and we double guessed ourselves.
When it happens last minute like that, you don't have time to think it through. Nope. It was like, crap, I got to make this change real fast. We had 10 minutes to kick off, and we were we were on other shows and getting ready for the all-day broadcast and stuff. So it was an accident, just like starting Odell Beckham in one of the leagues we forgot to check last minute.
That actually was the same league. It was the same league.
It was the same league. But we had the same issue in the Vegas league. Odell Beckham was in one of Dom's leagues. But, it was –
No, he switched,
But if you don't have both, I think you can still feel comfortable putting Jamal Williams in your flex spot depending on your other options there. I think he is going to get some work. It might not be as much as it was this last week, but he'll still get enough work, I think, to be a decent enough flex based on – especially, if you get a good enough matchup. And I think Green Bay is a pretty decent matchup, if I'm being honest, this week.
I agree. Okay. Do you have anyone you want to talk about in particular that you have questions or thoughts on?
Let me just take a quick stroll down who screwed me last week lane.
Well, I have a question, so I'll go ahead if you don't have one in mind.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't have one prepared. No.
Okay, so my question is, what do you think is going to happen? That Washington offense, I know you and I even, and being Cowboys fans, we weren't excited about it, but we thought that this year was looking pretty good with Fitzmagic under center, and now he's just done pretty much immediately. How do you feel about Heineke coming in? What do you think that does for McLaurin and Gibson value there? Because there was so much hype around them coming in from both of us and from pretty much everybody. So what do you think that looks like?
I think they might take a little step back. I don't think Heineke's quite the slinger that Fitzmagic is, but I mean, he's familiar with that offense. He's familiar with Gibson and McLaurin, and Thomas for that matter. I really don't think it will affect him too much. Those guys he's throwing to and handing off to are still very, very good. And then, their defense is very good. So I really don't think you're going to see them take too big of a step back because of that switch. I think they'll still do pretty well this year. I don't know outside of a 2-quarterback league if I'm ever starting Heineke this year, unless he just really starts just killing it.
He would have to shine like really good for that to happen. But I'm not worried about him. I mean, I just want to know what he does to the valuable players. But I mean, we've seen him shine. Heineke has shined before, and so I don't think it hurts them that much. I think he was thrown into the middle of a game that they weren't expecting him to be in the middle of, and so it changes game plan a little bit and stuff. So we see that effect on Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin. Antonio Gibson though kind of benefited from it. He actually led his team in targets. He had 5 targets to McLaurin's 4. And then Logan Thomas, I don't know, he had, 2 or 3? Like, he didn't have a lot. So, but I think Antonio Gibson getting those dump passes is helping him those checkdowns. So, I don't know if it'll be the thing going forward, but
I bet it is. I bet you do see a little uptick in receptions for Gibson. I bet going forward you might even see a little uptick in catches for Logan Thomas as well because of it. I don't think McLaurin's will really drop off much, but you won't see, the De'Ami Brown or when Curtis Samuel comes back. I don't know what you'll see out of them, but Thomas and Gibson, I'm not worried about them at all.
Do you think that a quarterback that's, I would say a step back from Fitzpatrick, do you think that quarterback then leans on Terry McLaurin a little bit more and almost kind of force feeds him a little bit, so maybe McLaurin's targets actually go up?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because I was wondering about the same thing in the offseason about the Packers. If Love comes out there, does Adams' value actually go up? Does he get more targets because a lesser quarterback's going to lean on a more experienced, better wide receiver, kind of force feeding him?
It's possible, but that's hard to predict.
Yeah,
it's a little easier to predict him leaning on dump offs to a running back or a tight end.
Right.
For now, I'm going to say no. I don't see an uptick in targets for McLaurin happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it's certainly possible. It's within the realm of possibility.
No doubt. Do you have any other things you want to talk about really quick?
So I'm just kind of scrolling through here, and there's a couple of backfields I want to get your opinion on.
Okay.
First, we'll start with Baltimore. Everybody ran out. It's kind of like, Jacksonville last year. Everybody ran out.
Yeah.
Everybody ran out and grabbed a guy.
Yep.
All right.
Now everyone's holding their lotto ticket. Just
if you had no competition on waivers and could have grabbed any of them, which one were you grabbing?
So there were waves, of their signings and stuff.
I'm just saying, this week for waivers, if they were all available and you had to grab one with no competition, whatever, who do you think is going to be the top running back in that offense going forward?
I thought we were friends. Why would you put me in this situation?
We're brothers. That's why I put you in that situation. I'm an older brother picking on a little brother again.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I am thinking, am I needing them for this week or am I needing them for
the season?
For the season. I think if we're going season,
if you have to pick one now and can't have a shot at another one for the rest of the year, which one are you taking?
I think I'm taking a shot on Latavius Murray.
Same.
And that's, he's proven good runner. He was the only person they went and picked up and immediately put into the game. So that means that they also trust in that. And I don't know how many rushes he got, but he got a pretty good amount of rushes right off the bat, and he's not familiar with the offense at all. So I think Latavius Murray is probably the guy there.
Yeah, I'm
Unless you're in a league with me that I have Williams in, then he's super valuable, and you should probably trade for him.
Well, I think he got a pretty close to the same workload as Williams already.
I believe so. Williams was
but that definitely shows the trust they already have in Murray, the faith they have in him.
Yeah, but Williams is also he was very effective.
Williams is very effective. Almost said infective. Effective. He's the incumbent. He's there. He's familiar. But I think Murray has more talent, and I think that will win out over the next couple weeks, and he'll end up being the lead runner there.
I think Williams looked more effective than Murray because of his familiarity with the offense. Once Murray takes that talent along with familiarity, I think he jumps Williams in there. So I think that Murray is the guy to have, which is unfortunate because I have Williams and more because Murray got either swooped up really quick or people didn't even necessarily drop him when New Orleans let him go just because they knew he's going to get picked up somewhere.
Right.
So I think people hung on to him because he did show that he had talent when he was with New Orleans. He was one of the best backups, one of the best handcuffs you could have. And the only reason he got let go was because of money. It didn't have to do with his talent or performance or anything. It was all money. And that just kind of tells you right there of just, yeah, this guy's going to be somewhere at some point. And it happened, I think, quicker than expected. Mm-hmm. But I think Murray's your guy to have.
Yeah, I agree. The other backfield I want to ask you about is the Jets. So, do you want Coleman, Carter, neither? If you have Coleman and Carter, are you waiting them out? You dropping them? What do you think?
I'm convinced you're just going through my rosters and making me relive these nightmares, because these are the exact things I'm having to go through right now.
Baltimore, I was curious about. The Jets, I have both of them together in at least half of my leagues. Same. I have Coleman and Carter together. And I did a lot of debating setting waivers last night whether to even keep either one of them, because I don't know.
I'm in the same boat, and I think that I just have to have faith, right? I took Carter in multiple drafts because there was some offseason hype around him. I mean, you watch his college film, man, Carter is an electric running back. He's really good. They brought in Coleman. It's a whole coaching situation thing. It's kind of annoying because Carter is probably the actual better running back. And if he's not yet, he will be soon. He'll be the better running back. Whether the coaches play politics or not is a whole different thing. Am I dropping either one of them? No, I'm hanging on to both of them because, as we've seen, an injury can happen really fast. And as soon as one gets hurt, which is almost bound to happen at this point, as soon as one gets hurt, the other is immediately super valuable. And you don't want to be having to have this guy on your roster and then eventually pay $100 of your fab to get him back because you're going to be mad. Or you don't pay that much and you miss out on him and you're like, dang, I had him on my roster for free and then just gave him away to someone else because I was impatient. Now, I understand there are situations where you can't hang on to two people on your roster. But for me, I'm doing it even on shallow bench rosters just because I think eventually it's going to pay off, and it's probably going to pay off pretty big. Which one it is, I'm not 100% convinced. I'm leaning it's actually going to be Michael Carter. About halfway through the season is just a gut feeling. I think he'll earn his way up in there, kind of like Sermon's going to have to work his way up in there. I feel like that's just kind of what they do with rookies. You're not just going to be handed this, especially over someone like Coleman, who has been in the league a little while, familiar with the coach is familiar with him, vice versa. So he's going to have to earn it and not just get it based off of straight hype.
Yeah, and you're right about the injuries. Luckily for us, they're not playing in Baltimore or San Francisco, so it's a little less likely, but still possible. Certainly very possible. The thing is, like, Carter had all of this off-season hype about how good he was doing and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, the last couple weeks before the season, everybody's like, oh, Coleman's impressed the coaches and has done so well and playing the best he's ever played. So then they named Coleman the starter, and that just throws a wrench in everybody's plans that had already drafted Michael Carter.
Yep.
And I do have the duo in a lot of leagues, and I ultimately decided not to drop either of them for now because I do want to let it suss each other out because they're both better than what they played this last week.
Yep.
They had a rough week last week. I think they had like 2 fantasy points apiece was all or something, 2.5 points. It was not good, but they'll have better weeks going forward. So I ultimately decided to keep them both. The only one I didn't keep them in was our family league. You know, it's an 8-team league, but we have the roster limits.
Yeah.
So we can only keep, 5 running backs, 5 receivers. I actually dropped Michael Carter in there for Latavius Murray today.
Yeah,
it was that move that kind of got me thinking about these two backfields and bringing them up here. So, I thought that was an interesting situation, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to discuss that. I guess the only other one I really have a question about. We kind of talked about it a little bit. Well, you'll see it, I guess, on Snoozers and Losers Friday.
Yep, Friday night.
Which we recorded last night. The Jacksonville receiving core. How do we think that's going to play out over the course of the season? Tony's big proponent of Laviska Shenault. Chark had the best week this last week. A lot of people have been touting Marvin Jones for the last month, saying he could be the number one. Who you picking out of the three if you had to?
This is the type of thing I avoid. And these are the type I avoided. I have 10 leagues, and I don't have, well, I take that back. Well, no, I don't. I don't have a Cincinnati wide receiver or a Jacksonville wide receiver in any of them.
I think I have Higgins in one and Marvin Jones in two.
And those are recent. The Marvin Jones are recent pickups just after his good game, right?
No, I picked him up
right before
that.
Right.
When we did our trade, I picked him up. I did have Laviska preseason in a dynasty. I traded for Marquez Callaway.
Okay.
That's yet to be determined how that turns out, but
yeah, I'm trading. I'm capitalizing off those big games and I'm trading. If I'm being completely honest, I stay away from those kind of receiving cores right there because you don't know. I mean, honestly, it makes me nervous to have Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans because of the same sort of ordeal, other than their quarterback makes that a lot more reliable and they don't really have a good running back that they're not really like leaning on, you know what I mean? So they're going to throw the ball a lot. And I trust that a little bit more. And
another one where the quarterback helps the situation is in Dallas.
Yes.
He's throwing the ball so dang much, he can absolutely keep up three receivers.
But
you won't have Gallup for a little while now, but I still wouldn't mind having Gallup as a flex receiver if I needed him out of that offense.
Gallup is good, but I don't think that that's a big three like some of these other, like as in, let me try to explain that. Not that the three that we're choosing from in Jacksonville are a big three, but they're three pretty even ones. You don't know who's going to get it. You got three pretty even ones to me with the Bengals offense. But in the Dallas one, you obviously have your 1A, 1B, and then you have another tier, right? Some of these ones in Cincinnati, I'm kind of putting them all in the same tier. No one's really separated themselves.
Tampa Bay's kind of that way too. They're all pretty equal.
Yeah, I would put them all in like, top 30 wide receiver. You don't know who's going to have the good game win, sort of thing. And you can look at Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, and they're definitely the ones on that team, and they're going to put up the points. And then Gallup's going to get his opportunities, but so is Cedric Wilson and whoever else touches the field that day. I mean, because Dak's going to throw the ball to everyone. But
Pittsburgh's another one that's like Tampa Bay and Cincy and stuff. They're
yet another team.
Very good receivers.
10 leagues, not a single Pittsburgh wide receiver either. I just avoided those because here's the thing with me in fantasy football, and I think a lot of people are kind of this way. You want consistent players more than anything. You want reliability. Now, I know we didn't see that in week 1 this year. And that tends to happen. You get a week like that. And it's weird because it seems to come in waves where it is like 1 week, all the crap or all the great players crap the bed, at the same time. Really strange. But not everyone can have a good week every dang week. Like it can't happen. Game plans change. Turnovers happen. Special teams plays happen. It changes up game plans. It changes up how certain players are used. Injuries happen. Things just happen. That's the nature of the beast here. The game is unpredictable, right? So, but I want someone that's more reliable than on a team as in like a wide receiver on Jacksonville, the Bengals, Pittsburgh. Even for the most part, it makes me nervous to have one for the Bucks. Other than the Bucks are just they all still put up points. Pretty much every game other than Evans crapped the bed this week, but even that's kind of abnormal. So
And now you even got to factor Gronk into that one. So, like, they're basically an uncoverable offense right now.
But he feeds all of them. Yeah, but they don't have a running game either.
The running backs are junk, so that's why. Yeah,
so they just throw the ball. So, I would just say avoid those type of teams, those wide receiving groups. But if I had to choose one of them, I'm still not all the way on the Chenault train. I think I'm still thinking Chark, whatever his name. DJ
I thought it was Chark all the time.
DJ Chark doop 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 doop.
You stole my joke.
I'm still going Chark.
Yeah.
Run away, doop 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 doop, run away. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm running away from those wide receivers.
I think I would say Chark also, just because of the type of receiver. He's more of an alpha type receiver.
Yep.
I think than those other guys. So yeah, I agree with you. Long story short, I agree with you. It's Chark.
Yeah, I blabbered on for a little while there, but I had to get my point across, and I covered multiple wide receiving groups because I avoid those. It's just good strategy, in my opinion.
Yeah. I kept throwing other receiving cores at you that were the same way.
So Albert asked McLaurin or Chase in half PPR. What do you think, Kyle?
McLaurin. Not even close.
Yeah, I agree. And that goes right into what I was just saying. Chase in the Bengals wide receiving core. I don't know who's going to score from week to week. I mean, heck, we even saw guys like Boyd and stuff scoring last year. I mean, there's too many even wide receivers there. Jamar Chase has not separated himself yet, and he might later on the season, but right now I'm avoiding McLaurin for sure.
Even this week, just based on matchup alone, McLaurin versus the Giants over Chase at the Bears. So,
and in a Thursday night game, that's just division rival. Yeah, McLaurin for sure.
McLaurin's at home, and then Chase is playing at Chicago. So give me McLaurin. Like I said, that's a no-brainer to me between those two.
But we'll probably be wrong. I did give good advice, what seemed like good advice to multiple people on Instagram this week, and ended up being very bad advice because studs screwed up. One was Mostert, or I can't remember.
We told a couple of people on Interactive last week to start Mostert over other people, and he lasted all the 2 plays.
Dude,
I don't regret anything.
Robbie Anderson or Raheem Mostert, and I said Mostert, right?
Last
for
week,
sure. Yeah.
Honestly, I'd probably still start Mostert this week over Robbie Anderson.
And then come to find out, like, Mostert gets hurt in the first quarter, and I was just like, that sucks. But how do you see that coming? You know, you can't.
Robbie Anderson didn't do anything either, though, so there was no good choice in that.
Yeah, I had to tell people not to panic on Zeke. I even had to send a little blurb from Jay the Plug over to this guy to convince him, like, listen, everyone's saying don't panic on Zeke. Do not panic on Zeke. Don't give up on him. He's going to have a good season. That whole team's going to score.
If you don't trust us, trust Jay the Plug.
Jay the Plug. He's plugged in all the dang time. He is plugged into his fantasy football, and it's constant. I don't know how he hasn't gotten fired from his job, because he says his boss is really into fantasy football too and is down with it all. So that's probably the only reason he's able to keep his job. His boss probably wins some leagues based off of his advice.
Sticks his head in Jay's office like, hey, do I start so-and-so or so-and-so?
Exactly. Appreciate you. Why don't you take an extended lunch, buddy?
Yeah, you get a long lunch today.
Love it. All right, guys. I don't see any more questions coming in. I didn't get any more online. So just a quick update. We will be doing our Snoozers and Losers will be coming out Friday. It's the last time we're going to do Friday night. We are going to move that to around midday lunchtime while you're at work, a little midday entertainment there. Day of the week, TBD. I think we're thinking Wednesdays, Kyle? Wednesday during the day?
I don't know, because we are going to premiere 2 new shows next week also. It's going to
Yeah.
be like a little lunchtime series, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We haven't decided exactly which day each of them is going to be on yet, but we will have that. I'm assuming we'll probably figure that out and get it out on our socials this weekend, Monday at the latest, so you'll know what's coming up.
Yep. Actually, that won't be on our social because those are exclusive to the Fantasy Football Network. So check out the Fantasy Football Network's Instagram. It'll keep you up to date. And I know that there will be a schedule of shows on their website soon. There's a big schedule of shows that are the Fantasy Football Network originals and everything that they are doing from their, oh gosh, what is it, like 7 or 8 different content creators so far that are exclusive to the Fantasy Football Network. And then if you go to their website, you can see content from all of the best content creators on YouTube. So it's a one-stop shop. Shout out to their Sunday Central. They are Sunday Central. That's where you can get all of your pregame shows, Q&As and stuff in one page. You can see all of those lives. You can switch between them and everything. There will be a Twitter feed there for the NFL Red Zone where they tweet out every freaking score that happens. And then also you'll be able to stream me and Kyle and JV show when we are doing the play-by-play. You can have us talking about that, give you score updates and everything like that also. So
they'll still be able to see it on our socials because we'll have it on our story. We'll retweet it from BoomBust, share it from Facebook. So they'll still see it on our socials too. I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Go follow Fantasy Football Network socials for sure.
Follow them also.
Yes.
But yes.
Yep. So
I did not tell a lie.
Yeah.
But yes, Sundays there's a ton of content. Like I say, we're on here all day long. Once the network app comes out, it will be so much easier to listen to those all-day broadcasts. It is coming soon.
Yep. Soon is a
they've been
loose word.
There have been some difficulties. It should have been released,
a month ago.
But it's almost there finally. So keep your eye out for that. That'll be all over their socials, our socials, every content creator's socials on the network, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Keep an eye out.
Yeah. But yeah, looks like that's all we've got for tonight. Keep an eye out for new content next week and
lots of content coming out, guys. Lots of content.
Season started. It's here.
Yeah.
It's here. Yeah. Last Saturday was more like Christmas Eve than actual Christmas Eve for me. Like, I was so excited for Sunday. So the fantasy side didn't go as planned, but being on here all day with you, with JV show, I was on the TCK fantasy focused podcast for a little while doing start sit questions and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be on there this week or not. I'll ask them. I'll try.
Hopefully.
But that was a lot of fun. So yeah, your boys are on here all day long on Sundays. Hop over, say hi. You don't have to stay long, but let us know you're watching,
Yes, sir. I don't got nothing else. You, Kyle?
No, sir. I appreciate y'all.
Wrapping this up. See you later in the week. Bye, guys.